from the blackest corners of your mind, they call, pulling you deep into shadow, twisting your senses, keeping you from sleep. It's time to face your darkest fears. This is Tales to Terrify. Good evening, children of the night, and welcome. Well, it's that time of year again, the time when those infernal gates screech open to reveal the swirly Stygian portal of our submissions platform. Yes, Tales to Terrify is once again open for full-length submissions. As a reminder, that's anything up to 10,000 words. Our staff readers have been starved for a handful of months now, with nothing but flash to soothe their growling bellies, so please, if you've got some horrific morsels to send our way, the sooner the better. You can find all of the details of how to submit, as well as a link to our submissions platform, by visiting talestoterrify.com/submissions. I can't wait to see what you've got to feed us. Tonight we have 3 tales for you. Our first story comes to us from Tabitha Lord. Tabitha Lord's indie-published science fiction novel, Horizon, won the Writer's Digest Grand Prize in 2016, and the completed trilogy has received numerous book awards. She has short fiction published with World Weaver Press, Grimbold Books, and on podcasts including Tales to Terrify and Starship Sofa. Tabitha is the vice president of the Association of RI Authors and a partner and senior writer at Book Club Babble, a top-searched website for reviews and book club questions. In her free time, she's pursuing her MFA at Western Colorado University while roaming the country with her husband and menagerie of fur babies in an RV. Children of the night, join me for Tabitha Lord's Monster, a Tales to Terrify original.
Cora hears her sister approach, soft footsteps padding over damp grass, but she doesn't look up. Her gaze remains fixed on the velvety coat of the tiny creature slowly inching its way across the dirt. With her finger, Cora strokes its back. The caterpillar quivers under her touch. "Cora!" Lila yells, but Cora's attention doesn't waver. In a few days' time, this small beast will spin a cocoon. Nearly all its tissue will dissolve, reorganize, become something entirely different. Cora is fascinated. Lila's footsteps grow closer, her voice more insistent. "Come on! I want to go swimming!" Lila demands. Finally, Cora glances up at her twin. Lila's hands are balled into fists and planted on her hips. The gesture reminds Cora of Mama, when she finds the two of them huddled under a blanket with a flashlight and a book, hours after bedtime. The caterpillar scrunches up its body and scoots forward, the movement drawing Cora's eyes back to it. Before Cora knows what's happening, a sneaker-clad foot stomps on the creature. Slimy green innards burst from its tiny body. Cora blinks. "Why did you do that?" Cora whispers. "I want to go swimming," Lila repeats, and then she skips through the yard without a backward glance, confident Cora will follow. Cora stares at the ceiling. The small glow from the fairy nightlight casts shadowy winged shapes in the dark. Cora can tell by the sound of her deep, steady breaths that Lila is asleep in her own bed. Sometimes Lila finds her way into Cora's bed in the middle of the night. But tonight her sister seems unbothered by nightmares. Cora doesn't have nightmares. She doesn't have dreams either. Through the walls, Cora hears Mama's soft voice coming from her office down the hall. Mama often works late into the night. Cora kicks off her blankets and slides to the floor. She waits a moment, but when Lila doesn't stir, she tiptoes out the door. Mama's office takes up one whole side of the house and connects to the classroom. Mama homeschools Cora and Lila. She says regular school would be boring for them. Cora wonders about regular school, but she likes to read for hours and hours and work on complicated puzzles and projects and math problems. Mama says they wouldn't let her do that in regular school. Cora's latest unfinished project sits on the classroom table. It's only a pile of colorful tiles right now, but Cora sees what it will become in her mind's eye. The urge to glue more pieces to the butterfly's wing tugs her toward the table. But she hears Mama's voice again and continues on toward the office. Something in Mama's tone makes Cora stop before she is seen. When she carefully peeks around the corner, Dr. Griffin's animated face glows from the computer screen. Cora knows Dr. Griffin. She and Lila visit with him every week. Mostly they play games or color or talk and make up stories. Outside Mama's office, Cora holds very still and listens.
Clearly the technology was not ready to be biologically integrated,
Dr. Griffin says. Mama sighs. David, you're overreacting.
I am not overreacting. The tests indicate that she's exhibiting antisocial personality disorder. Evelyn, you know this is a problem. The board is going to cut funding and terminate the program.
That's absolutely unacceptable, David. You need to intervene.
Unfortunately, I agree with them, Evelyn. If we continue and allow her to fully mature, we will release a dangerous, brilliant sociopath into the world.
She's just a child, David.
No, Evelyn. She is a monster.
Monster. Cora pads softly back to her room and sneaks inside. Before she returns to her own bed, she stands over Lila and stares at her sister's sleeping form. While Lila arranges her collection of dolls on the edge of the bathtub, Cora locks the door.
Get in, Cora,
Lila demands.
You can play with this one.
Lila holds up a doll with a missing limb as Cora steps into the warm water. When Lila turns her back, attention focused on her dolls, Cora grabs a fistful of her sister's hair and slams her head into the tiled wall. She watches Lila sink beneath the water. Mama's voice calls from the hallway.
Girls, are you all right?
Cora doesn't answer. Mama jiggles the doorknob.
Lila? Cora? What's going on in there? Are you all right?
Lila's dark hair floats among the bubbles. A smear of red paints the white tile wall. Cora puts her hand on Lila's back and holds her underwater. Cora doesn't move when Mama's voice grows louder or when Mama bangs on the door. She doesn't move when Lila thrashes beneath her or when she stops. She doesn't move when the door bursts open or when Mama screams. Cora sits at a table and glues colored shapes into place. She is not in her classroom, but Mama has moved some of her things into her new room. Mama doesn't come inside, but she talks to Cora through a small, thick glass window. Other people are outside the room. Cora can't see them, but she knows they are there. She can hear them talking.
Evelyn, it's time.
I can't do it, Mama says.
Then I'll do it for you.
There must be another way.
You know there isn't.
Mama comes to the window. Cora, honey, it's time for bed. Cora doesn't want to stop working on her butterfly mosaic, but she listens to Mama. She changes into her pajamas, the ones with the feet, brushes her teeth in the small sink in the corner, and then pulls down the covers and climbs into bed. Good night, Cora, Mama says.
Good night, Mama.
Mama puts her hand on the glass. Cora rubs the soft ear of her stuffed rabbit between her fingers. She hears something hiss out of the ceiling vent and wrinkles her nose at the smell. When Cora closes her eyes, she hears Mama scream again.
That was Tabitha Lord's Monster, as read by Amanda Stribling. What sets Amanda apart? She not only brings a unique voice, but also a deep commitment to professionalism, hitting deadlines, taking direction with ease, and always striving to exceed expectations. Her aim is to make every collaboration feel as seamless and enjoyable as a chat over the garden fence. Thank you, Amanda. Our second tale tonight comes from Bryan Carrigan. Bryan Carrigan is a writer and playwright living in Los Angeles. Listen with me, children of the night, to Bryan Carrigan's One August Night, a Tales to Terrify original.
It was finally going to happen. William parked the truck and killed the engine. The engine ticked as it cooled, and crickets filled in the quiet space that edged the night. It was August, and humid, and the truck's AC had given out a decade before William's brother bought the damn thing. Neither of them had the money to fix it. Sarah's hand found his. This is what you had planned all along, isn't it? William said nothing. Everything had been going perfect, and he didn't want to ruin it. Not now. She pulled his arm over her bare shoulders, and he could feel the heat from her body and breathed in the soft scent of her hair. It was a good plan, she said. I could grow to like it. Her voice barely a whisper, barely audible over the night sounds that swelled around them. If you were waiting for the perfect moment to kiss me. He was still in awe that he'd gotten up the nerve to ask her out. Sarah Friendly. His lips found hers, and she tasted like sweet tea and art class and marching band and Taylor Swift songs played over a scratchy campground PA system. He had no idea why she'd said yes. He was the kid who mowed lawns and moved towns. Twice in the last 4 years. He'd grown his hair long, down past his shoulders, and buzzed it off at the start of the summer. Clean cut, ready for two-a-days and college applications. Sarah had her heart set on state. William knew he'd be happy to go anywhere. He just wanted to go. Sarah pressed against him. Every part of him ached for her closeness. He could feel her body through the thinness of her sundress. A small wet stain on the inside of his shorts, sticky against his thigh. She breathed in his ear. He nuzzled the softness of her neck, the strap of her sundress. She pulled away, pushed him back sharply. Her eyes had a sudden fierceness. William knew in that instant that he'd ruined it, that he'd pushed things too far too quickly. He licked his lips and tried to think of a way to apologize. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Someone's out there," Sarah said. She said it quietly, but there was an edge to her voice, a sharpness to it that cut through the quiet that had crept up all around them. The crickets had stopped. Blood rushed back to William's ears, and he strained to hear. A footstep? The crunch of gravel creeping closer? He knew the stories. The kid who went missing one night skinny dipping at the lake. The twins who disappeared coming back from a bonfire. There were always stories. Every town had them. His brother Dale swore there was a girl in his class, Erica Stoneman, who disappeared midway through social studies. She'd excused herself to use the restroom and simply never returned. And no one in his class ever talked about her. Her book bag, purse, and cell phone went unclaimed in the school's lost and found. William listened. He didn't hear anything. The crickets came back as suddenly as they'd stopped. He felt Sarah breathe. "Looks like it's just us," she said. There was a moon, and it threw off enough light that he could see her silhouette in the darkness looking back at him. And he knew in that moment that it was going to happen. Better than he'd ever imagined, and he imagined it a lot. He kissed her, and she kissed him back, hard, devouring him, her teeth biting down on his lip. He tasted blood. He kept kissing her. She straddled him, pulling at his shirt, clawing at him, until he wasn't wearing it anymore. His body ached for hers, ached to be inside hers. "Tell me you want this." She breathed the words into his ear. He wanted the moment to last. He wanted it to last the whole night and into tomorrow and the day after. He wanted it to never end. "Say it," she said. Her lips were on his neck. "Tell me." His hands found the zipper on the back of her dress. "I want this more than anything." She breathed in, and every part of him could feel her hips straddling his. Her teeth were cold against his neck, and he felt something warm and sticky spreading downward across his chest. A flashlight shined against the passenger side window, and for a moment she was caught in its glare. Feral, eyes wild, her mouth and chin slick with blood. Officer Christie clicked off his flashlight. Just some kids having a little fun. They'd fogged up the windows. A hand thumped against the glass, and it sounded like they'd been going at it for a while. "Good for them," he sighed. His radio chirped, a possible 1054D, which seemed unlikely. He toggled his microphone and said, "Repeat your last." He wanted to make it sound as professional as he could, the way things were. Everything was being recorded. "Yeah, it's as crazy as it sounds," Keegan said. Her voice had that graveyard shift edge to it. She wouldn't last. "Caller states they saw a dead body face down in the township pool. Caller refused to identify themselves. called disengaged without providing any additional details. Anyway, just go down there, shine your light around, make sure there's not a CPR dummy or some damn thing floating in the deep end. Yeah, copy that, Christy said. Real professional. He clicked off his radio, gave the truck one last look, and wished he could do it all over again. Being young and getting laid, not having to worry about a mortgage or a possible herniated disc in his back. They had their whole future ahead of them, and everything was tan lines and cutoffs and cold beers. He hoped they were enjoying every moment of it.
That was Bryan Carrigan's One August Night, as read by Summer Brooks. Summer Brooks enjoys putting her addiction to sci-fi and horror stories to good use in interviewing guests. She's a longtime podcaster, in several roles for Slice of Sci-Fi since 2005, as co-host for the Babylon podcast since 2006, and host of Writers After Dark since 2018. She's an avid reader and writer of sci-fi, fantasy, and thrillers, with a handful of publishing credits to her name. Next on her agenda is writing a graphic novel urban fantasy and a B-movie creature feature. Summer also does story narrations for Tales to Terrify, Starship Sofa, and Escape Pod, among others. Thank you, Summer. Our final tale tonight comes from Avra Margariti. Avra Margariti is a queer author and Pushcart-nominated poet with a fondness for the dark and darling. Avra's work haunts publications such as Vastarian, Asimov's, Strange Horizons, F&SF, The Deadlands, Podcastle, and Reckoning. Avra lives and studies in Athens, Greece. You can find Avra on Twitter at Avra Margariti. Children of the Night, join me for Avra Margariti's Echthroxenia, first published in the Cursed Morsels anthology No Trouble at All, April 2023.
The man born and raised in my night terrors sits at our kitchen table, nibbling on rose locomia and sipping honey-sweetened tea. Grandma never takes my dowry tea set out of its hope chest unless we're hosting a special guest. The animal bone teacup clinks against the petal-painted saucer like screeching teeth. Blooms and thorns transform in a vertiginous blur as the teacup meanders meridians from mouth to saucer and back again. Pinching myself awake is not enough. I bite the inside of my cheek, hard enough to draw red blood from the pink flesh. Yo-yo, what are you doing? My voice unhinges, more hiss than whisper. I pull Grandma aside in the foyer full of ivory doilies and porcelain kitten figurines, all part of my proika, my bundle of small riches crafted or collected by generations of toiling women, meant not for me, but for my future husband to know my worth. This man is... but I don't know what this man is, if indeed they are a man, or beast, or shadow. Did they spring out of my nightmares, or have they been visiting me there in preparation for this meeting? All I know is this apparition has followed me in slumber since I came to live with Grandma as an orphan. And now, he's in our kitchen, slurping mountain tea with a twisting red tongue. Sugar dusts his upper lip. Its particles stick to every open pore. Calderis defined and loose off-white that has bile crawling up my throat. It's as if my eyes are somehow unable to absorb the entirety of his visage. Whenever I attempt to stitch our guest's features together, my mind is lost in a somnolent haze of fog. All I can do is focus on these small details, the pitch black of twin empty wells inside his eyes, the too perfectly positioned edges of his hairline, sharp enough to draw blood. Grandma's clawed fingers tighten around my wrist in unspoken warning. Don't be rude, Hegre. This man is a guest. We cannot afford to be unwelcoming and break the ancient rules of hospitality. The gods are always watching, waiting for us to slip up. I wither under Grandma's stare, piercing me through the wrinkled apertures of her eyes. Her disappointment in me drips sludge like shame through my bloodstream. I stand alone in the foyer while she goes to care for our guest. Avoid the pitfalls of hubris. My mouth tastes of blood and roses. All around me, porcelain kittens titter dainty taunts. Grandma is laughing, ladling soup. I've never seen her so full of vitality and easy charm since before I came to live with her, after my parents crashed and burned their business, relationship, car, lives. Our guest lifts his plate, movement eager but polite, to help direct the soup inside the dish's cavernous cradle. The globules that slip down the soupière glint grotesquely in the candlelight, like the egg sacs of some alien insect. I can only glance at his face from the corner of my eye. Every time I do, an eddy of mist whisks his features away, only to remake them infinitesimally different on the next uncanny swirl. Yet his smile is straight in uniform, little gravestones arranged in a country cemetery, white as mourning doves. And his eyes, the black of the rooster that crows once at the approach of dawning evil.
I'm so glad you're here at last. I was worried about Xenia being left on the shelf forever.
Grandma confesses to our special guest, although I'm right there in the dining room.
She was beginning to look past her prime. Almost.
Her voice lowers even further as if to cushion the scandal.
Almost like a man.
I look down at my plain trousers, million times mended and stained at the knees. This displeases Grandma, who lays a different dress on my bed each morning, all embroidered sleeves, lace hems, and crocheted collars. Mom's relics. I pinch and bite myself again, wanting to see if I'm real or ghost. Is he the dreamling? Or am I? And is this charade about evading hubris or something else? Not a bite of roasted lamb passes through my constricting throat. I let Grandma chatter about our family, tragic deaths and modest inheritance, the town gossip, how all her friends are dead, but she is so happy he's here. I wonder if some dream thread glamour has Grandma convinced he's an aspiring groom sent by the local progenitora to seek my hand in marriage, and not a creature prowling my every night terror. When she asks our guest questions, all I hear of his words is cacophonous static slicing through my eardrums. Yet his answers, always with that polite porcelain smile, seem to satisfy Grandma throughout lunch. When our guest offers to bring the dirty dishes back to the kitchen, Grandma pushes me in after him. Her smile is knowing, a barbed glint that commands, go help our guest who so selflessly offered his assistance. In the kitchen, over the sound of water distending the leftovers in the sink. I swallow my revulsion enough to corner our guest. "Who are you?" I hiss while he, automaton stiff, scrubs the dishes. His suit cuffs raised to reveal skin that looks peculiarly breakable. His veins are cracks traversing pallid, almost transparent forearms. I recognize the suit jacket. Once belonged to my father. Moth-eaten now that its former wearer is food for the earthworms. "What do you want from me?" I try again. The smile he offers me is a marionette's moue. A tragedy masks facade. On closer inspection, through the buffer of a silver spoon's reflection, the kitchen window pane, the row of Grandma's jarred jams and preserves, he looks even more artificial and familiar. A spiteful trick of the light, I tell myself. Yet I can't stop staring at all our many reflections around the room. For a second, suspended evermore through the ether, I cannot tell us apart. Until he's gone from my side, and I am left blinking at an empty, spotless kitchen. The baklava squelches sweet and syrupy, like blood just beginning to congeal, as the baked Greek coffee, dark and midnight thick, stains our cups. The foam bubbles stare at me, all-seeing, all-knowing eyes. I'm too scared to drain my cup and face my fate foretold in the dregs. The gramophone plays an old tune. Ti neftro putoleni agrape. What is this thing called love? And I sway in hypnotized place, weary down to my bone marrow, now that the day's adrenaline is catching up to me. Grandma has seated us in the formal parlor, the one meant for special visitors. The couch's carved wooden back digs into my spine with every breath I shudder in and out of my lungs. She sits across from us, fiddling with the tarnished gramophone as our guest and I share the faded floral couch. The cushion space between us is not large enough to hide the way baklava sweet bile claws up my esophagus. Grandma's inane chatter mingles with the music. When I blink again, the light has changed from amber-tinged ambiance to a crepuscular dimness. The visitor's parlor has vanished like an illusionist's act. Music still drifts, distorted from somewhere I can't reach, and so does Grandma's disembodied voice, while the walls tower tall, closing in on me. I'm in a box, I think. Then, a coffin. Your hope chest, my unleaving guest courteously offers. I whirled toward his voice, devoid of static here in this shared dreamscape, but echoing manifold. I know by sternum-rooted instinct that he's right. He and I have shifted to the inside of the heavy, compact chest, its wooden slates smelling like an old ship's hold, although it has lived in Grandma's house for years. The chest carries my proika, a heritage of sweat-drenched labor and tearful expectation. I study like a cornered animal this cavernous dark space. Grandma is gone, and only my ghost and I remain. All around flit shadows cast by strange objects, every sound amplified against curved walls, every breath a shout. Doilies hang on meat hooks like animal skins, or, for the gauziest, flimsiest lace, sausage casings. Although in reality I know them to be no bigger than my cupped palms, these crocheted creations stretch large enough to be medieval castle tapestries depicting beheadings and deflowerings. They flap ghostly in the must-imbued drafts, shrouding my senses, The rose-patterned teacups and porcelain saucers are as vast as hills and lakes iced over. Sleeping beasts hide beneath the frost, dream clamoring to strangle me with their talons, tentacles, and prehensile tongues. All my dead family's hopes and aspirations, all the proof of me as more property and price tag than person, everything grows enlarged and suffocating. And in the midst of it all, my ghost and I, standing one before the other like a mirror image I still cannot face head-on. I laugh then, bitterness unbridled across this nuptial nightmarescape. We've been here before. I know this with the certainty of the doomed and the dreaming. This hope chest isn't mine, I say, choking on my laughter like a lace-braided noose. This is what my ancestors bequeathed me, but not for me to start a life of my own. My fate is to forever polish silverware into mirrors of delusion, to weave linens into cobwebs and trap new daughters in old cycles. I look at him, a hazy, ever-shifting vision. He is a guest in this house, and I'm a guest in my body. My gaze gravitates to the bone-gleaming teacups and the lace doilies undulating like waves of trypophobia trigger sea foam. If only I could grasp them in my hands, these fragile treasures. If only I could lift them high above my head and... I awake with a jolt, seated still in the orange-lit visitor's parlor. The baklava effluvia stick resin-like to my fork tines. The coffee, long gone cold, its dregs writhing with bleak visions. Grandma frowns her disapproval for my daring to break decorum, for being who I have always been.
Now is no time to sleep,
she chastises.
Come, you have work to do.
Day drags its carcass into night. Beyond the yellowed curtains, darkness spreads the way of viscous tar. Soon it will engulf us all. Grandma, our guest, and I. The walls and windows will close over, as jagged as petrified wounds, and only a hopeless chest will remain of this house, a minuscule mausoleum for 3.
Stop daydreaming,
Grandma tuts, pulling me away from the window, glass spiderwebbed by my uneven breaths.
It's time to bring our guest his nightcap.
I had thought by now, meal after rich meal, the man who is not a man would have donned an heirloom hat and been on his ghostly way. Yet there he is, ensconced in the guest bedroom between my dowry's good linens, white as a wedding veil that Grandma had me lay out for him earlier. I take the amber glass of Metaxa liquor, letting myself be pushed toward the guest bedroom. An inexorable death march. Wait, I protest, although she always found my words most feeble. But maybe if I call upon etiquette, she will listen. Yeah, surely you don't mean I take the drink to his room by myself? Grandma's face appears more inscrutable than ever. Wrinkles like nail-scratched wood, mouth an axe slash in her weathered face.
Remember, Henia, you're not getting any younger. Sometimes the way to secure a man is to leave him no choice but to do the right thing.
My skin pales and pebbles with shivers. So she wants me in his bed, though unwed? Wants me to perform the old wives' trick of getting with child? Wrapping a ring around this stranger's finger? Sweeping myself out of Grandma's hair at last? Straight into the penumbral arms of an apparition. Henia, the ancient custom of hospitality after which I was named, states that once you have clothed, fed, and entertained your guest, offered them a roof over their head, you must give the guest a parting gift as well. A delirious giggle escapes me as I realize I am to be that gift. Darkness embraces the guest bedroom, a mockery of a wedding suite. I fumble my way toward the wispy, immaterial shape stretched out on the bed. My hope chest stands at the foot of the bed that isn't mine. The fruits of my lineage's sweat, tears, and blood drawn from embroidery needles. I am not worthy of it all. This much has been made clear to me. Yet whatever stranger lays his head here is deserving of the contents of my troika. I lie in bed on my side, me and my apparition facing each other. For the first time since he arrived, I force myself to truly look at him. I try to make out the details of his silhouette, push through foggy features and roiling nausea to the meat of him underneath. He has my face. Like I pulled him out of my innermost matter, made him in my image out of dream clay and bone china. And he is docile, the way it was expected of me, first by my parents, then Grandma. "Why are you here?" I whisper. When I raise my hand toward his face, his hand mirrors mine. Puppet and puppeteer. "Why am I here?" the stranger asks. "Did I summon you?" I try again. "Did you summon me?" he replies, voice rumbling wet and distant. A mud-made thing. I devour my disgust for my fingers to finally make contact with his face. When his own touch meets my skin, it is cold, sleek, lifeless. "You are an empty man," I speak into the darkness. "I am an empty man," the darkness replies. As soon as they are uttered, I know the words to be true. The world once more rearranges itself, the way every atom of reality did in my dreams. This mannequin of a man is nothing but a vessel for my freedom. My sleeping mind knew Grandma would never grant me access to my dowry without a husband by my side to accompany me, lead me through life, make sure I spend my fortune wisely. So I molded a glamour out of my night terrors, an empty man that used to disgust me. So, now standing before me, still and obedient, awaiting my direction. All day long, and all my days before that, I have been a polite, gracious host, a polite, gracious orphan. Be thankful Grandma took you in after your parents' deaths. Marry well to repay her kindness, crochet more doilies with cramping, aching fingers. Stop crying, Henia. You will grow ugly as a man. Nobody will want you then. Nobody will ever want you. Was it any wonder my dream self manifested as a trick husband, a hypnos-hewn decoy? And if I could mold an empty man, what else can I do? I lie back in bed and weave my fingers in the air, working with the encircling dark, rather than against it. "Well, husband," I speak toward the ceiling as I spread my arms out in surrender. "What's mine is yours, such as the ancient rules of hospitality. Matrimony, too. So, take it." I close my eyes, listening to the mattress creak as my apparition moves above me. He climbs off the bed, mechanical footsteps ambling toward the hope chest. The old hinges screech open through the resistance of rust. I fall asleep to the sounds of porcelain shattering, silverware bending, and lacework ripped to shreds. Never, have I slept this deep and sweeter than a baby.
That was Avra Margariti's Echthroxenia, as read by Kelli Tager. Kelli's an award-winning narrator, voice actor, and writer who uses humor, wine, and medication to get through life. Originally from the Bay Area, she now lives in LA. She loves narrating horror, but is officially a giant chicken when it comes to reading and watching it. Thank you, Kelli. Well, children of the night, the hour is late, and we've run out of tales to tell. For now. Tales to Terrify is made possible by the tremendous generosity of our supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Incredible fans like Lestle Baxter, Amanda Carrillo, Amanda Gottfried, and Orion D. Hegre, whose generous support keeps these lights on and flickering ominously. If you're not a supporter, head over to patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. You'll find all kinds of perks, like ad-free episodes, bonus content, and one-of-a-kind collectibles. Every dollar goes back into this show, and we appreciate your support so much. Want another way to support the show that doesn't cost you a cent? Head over to Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. You'll not only put an unnaturally wide smile on our faces, but help new listeners discover our terrifying tales, too. You can show your love of the show out in the world with some Tales to Terrify merch. TalesToTerrify.com/merch will take you to our TeePublic store, where we've got a great collection of creepy custom and curated designs. Tales to Terrify is produced by Seth Williams, Meredith Morgenstern, Andrew Gibson, Crystal Hammond, Spencer Disparty, and myself, Drew Sebastini, with original theme by Nebulous Entertainment. Tales to Terrify is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Join us again next week as we learn the icy art of revenge with more Tales to Terrify.